We get into one. Mac Jones and how NFL draft pundits they're big on him now. They are big on him now. Jones has got a lot of attention on him right now. And two of the most respected draft experts in the game, Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr., both of ESPN, both gentlemen have Jones as a first rounder. Now, Todd McShay on his big board has Jones listed number 28 overall, the number 5 quarterback taken in the first round. Kiper has a little bit more high esteem there on Jones. He's got him in the top 25 at number 24 overall, still the number 5 quarterback taken on his board. So for Mac to go from being overlooked, doubted, people thinking he could not orchestrate, he could not run, he could not dissect or operate this offense to, he is trending everywhere. Like Mac Jones is trending on Twitter. You've got pro scouts talking about him. You got NFL draft experts talking about him. Everybody's speaking on him. You got Alabama fans that doubted him going, I was wrong. Like Mac Jones is out here killing it. He's out here dominating. He's out there playing big football. He's out there having major success out there, on the field. And even one, Miller Forristall, got a chance to speak with him today in player interviews. And Forristall talked about how, one of the questions directed to Forristall was, from the outside looking in, what did a lot of media pundits and people, from the outside looking in, what did they get wrong about Mac that you guys saw out there, on the field? And, Forrestall basically said, well, for starters, a lot of people, when they looked at Mac, they saw this skinny white guy from Jacksonville, Florida. He didn't come in with a big name. He didn't come in with a lot of attention, so you immediately cast him to the side. But the work ethic that Mac has, he's an elite passer, and as good as Bryce Young is, and Bryce is going to be great. Bryce is going to be phenomenal. He's going to be fantastic. Mac Jones, people just don't understand the amount of work he puts in to be the type of player that he is. And that comes from one Miller Forristall today in player interviews, just talking about the maturation and the transformation and the development that has been one Mac Jones. So both Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr. both have him going in the first round of this draft, number 5 quarterback on the board. Now, the only knock that Kiper has in terms of Jones is not enough starts as a quarterback in college football right now. For most NFL teams, coaches, GMs, personnel out there, they would like for their starting quarterbacks to have at least 30-plus starts in college football. At least, 30 or more, showing that you've got that experience all the way around as, a starter in college football. Now, for Mac, he's got 10 starts right now, 4 last year, 6 so far this year. If Alabama is able to play LSU and he wanted to end his tenure just after the season, should Alabama make the college football playoff, Mac would have 17 starts under his belt. Now, 17 starts is good, but it's not the 30-plus that a lot of these scouts and personnel people are looking for. And when you don't have just a whole bunch of starts on your belt as a quarterback, people tend to want to talk you down in the NFL draft. Now, of course, for you out there as fans, you guys always like to talk about how, well, if teams talk you down, that's good. That's great. You go to a better team, you go to a better situation, you go to a better front office, you go to a better organization if you're talked down in the draft. But now you're starting to see even more fans go, well, don't talk the player down, because if you talk them down, they're not going to get the guaranteed money. And guaranteed money is a big thing now in the NFL. That's what a lot of players are fighting for. More guaranteed money in the contracts. That's what the new CBA is looking at, trying to figure out how can we get more guaranteed money in rookie contracts, more guaranteed money in free agent deals, more guaranteed money in terms of players in general. So while it would be a pro to get talked down because you would go to a better organization, it's a con when you're talking about if you get talked down, you're not going to receive the guaranteed money that you would like to get. So while I would not mind seeing, Jones come back for a senior year just to get those starts built up. For you as a fan, put yourself in Mac Jones' shoes here for just a moment here. What would be the better option? Because, like I mentioned, right now, everybody's talking about him. Twitter's talking about him. Rival fans are talking about him. U.S. Bama fans are talking about him. All types of national media talking about him. Draft scouts are talking about him. He's in the thick of the Heisman race. He's up for numerous postseason individual awards. So his name is out there. His name is out there big. Would you, as a fan, if you're Mac Jones, would you strike now while the iron is hot? Would you cash out and go pro, even with not having a lot of starts under your belt? Or would you choose to risk all of that and come back to Alabama for a senior year, for another year to work with Coach Saban, another year to work with Steve Sarkisian? You're going to have, some really talented running backs, Trey Sanders, Jace McClellan, Roydell Williams, Keegan Robinson would be back. You would have another year working with the likes of John Mechie and Slade Bowden and Javon Baker among incoming freshman talents at wide receiver. You would have some great tight ends to work with. The defense would be a lot better on the offensive line. You would at least have Emil Ekiyor Jr. and Evan Neal back as starters. You would have Will Reichert as the field goal kicker, especially with how well he's done this year. So what would you do as an Alabama fan if you were in Mac's shoes? Because you got pros and cons both ways, right? Because if he would choose to come back, then you would look at the possibility of, do you lose Bryce Young to a transfer? Because he's not going to want to sit the bench a second year in a row. Would you lose a Paul Tyson to a transfer? Would you lose a Jalen Milroe? Would he flip out of this, current signing class and go elsewhere? So there's a lot of pros and cons here. But if you were an Alabama fan, would you strike while the iron is hot with everybody talking about you, with Mel Kiper's got you as a first rounder, Todd McShay's got you as a first rounder? Would you cash out now once the season ends and go to the draft if you were in Mac Jones' shoes? Or would you come back another year, risk everything to get more starts, and have an opportunity to maybe even compete for another national championship should Alabama win the national title this year? Just a lot to think about when you discuss Mac Jones and all the different scenarios here being put in place. But as always, Tide fans, if you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your Crimson Tide, it's very simple and easy to get this. You can access it by downloading the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can get it from your iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone for your audio listening needs. We got you right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.